What's going on, guys? Sam Adams here, and I'm getting ready to record a video for tomorrow, but today I wanted to talk about the Ghost Recon's Wildlands closed beta, because I have some concerns, you may say. When the game was first announced back at E3 of 2015, I was genuinely excited, and whenever they showed off more gameplay at E3 2016, I got even more excited, because the concept of being this kind of like infiltration stealth team into the Bolivian drug trade underground, it all just sounds really cool to me, and so I was genuinely excited about getting into that in 2017, and so when the opportunity came to play the closed beta, I was really pumped about it because this game was kind of built up in my mind as one of the big headliners of 2017, kind of like a callback to a little game called Tom Clancy's The Division that came out in 2016. A lot of people were excited about that too. As soon as I jumped into the game, the story kind of goes and hits at it hard. It starts to give you the background of all these characters and stuff, and I realized that during the little interaction between one person and another on a helicopter, I did not give a single shit about what was being said. The story kind of fell flat with me. Now that might just be the fact that I was streaming it and I didn't really get the chance to fully absorb everything, but as I was listening to the dialogue, I just could not find one iota of my being that cared. However, it's all about the gameplay, right? Within Tom Clancy's games, it's all about the gameplay, the gunplay, the shooting, all of those kind of mechanics. And so when you get into the game, the first thing you're kind of presented with is to drive your squad to a location. Now that in and of itself is perfectly fine. However, the driving mechanics, although they appear to be a little bit realistic right off the bat, are completely and totally unrealistic once you've been driving for, I would say, between 20 and 30 seconds. Now when you're falling down a mountain, I will say that it feels very realistic because you can't really control your vehicle that much. If an object is in motion, it will stay in motion in that direction. However, the car never flips over. The driving, especially when you're taking right and left turns, feels very mechanical. It's almost like you immediately take a right or a left. And so it's that kind of thing that really kind of takes you out of the moment and makes you realize that you are playing a game instead of driving a squad through a Bolivian drug-infested area. But then I reminded myself, this is not a car game. This is something that's completely and totally about shooting, especially cover shooting, it so appeared from the trailers, and so that is where I was going to judge Ghost Recon Wildlands on what it actually was. So when you get to your first engagement, you realize there is no cover system. There is literally no cover system within the game. Now you can crouch behind a small wall, if you will. You can crouch behind a pile of tires, a car, etc. You can do that kind of thing, but you can't do like in The Division where you can lean up against a car, peek around, do that kind of thing, peek over, then peek around the other side, and then jump from one location to another. That is completely and totally cut out of the game. You can only slightly jog, and maybe even you can crawl, if you will, from one location to another, but there is no cover system. You literally had to copy and paste it from The Division, and that would have been fine. Now, I will say that whenever bullets do make their impact and hit their mark, there is a nice little feedback. You can definitely hear it. It feels like you genuinely hit something from a distance. So in that sense, the gunplay is good, but from the cover-based perspective, from the blind firing perspective, you really have to consider what you're doing, because if you do one thing incorrectly, there is literally no chance of recovery because you're kind of freaking out, you don't have time to crouch behind cover, and the gunplay isn't that intuitive to begin with, so whenever you're under pressure, it's even less intuitive. I will say another good thing about the game, and that is the recon portion of it. Whenever you're approaching an area full of enemies, you can choose either binoculars or a drone to kind of scope the area out and pinpoint who you want to kill first. And there's even a button where you can kind of assign another squad mate to simultaneously take out someone else. Now, I got a chance to play around with that for maybe 5 or 10 minutes before I got kind of frustrated with the game. However, that was one of the highlights because I could pinpoint someone and say, hey man, you take them, I'm going to take them. And it felt like one of those scripted portions of a game, even though I myself was scripting it. There were a couple of highlights here, but the further I got into the beta, the less I cared about the story, and that is where the downfall of Wildlands lies. I did not give a single shit about what was going on. For instance, in the first mission that I really got into, I had to save a dude named Amaru from this little small village that was being controlled by the bad guys of the Bolivian drug trade, I assume. And so I had to go in, kill all the bad guys of the Bolivian drug trade, get Amaru, and go 2 kilometers to like east or west or some other direction, and get him to meet up with his allies, and that's pretty much, you know, big first part of the mission. There were cutscenes riddled throughout this little sequence, and I did not care one single bit about what they were saying. They could not convince me to care. It was very generic. Some dude was getting interrogated, beaten, and that was pretty much all I gleaned from the entire operation. In conclusion, I will say that at the very beginning of the beta, there is this big notice that says things are going to change between now and the time of the game's release in March, and I do hope they genuinely change. Notably, geez, put in a cover system, even if it's going back to The Division and copying and pasting that. However, mentioning The Division, the game, The Division, Tom Clancy's The Division, was very much so looked forward to whenever it was coming up for that game to be released. Now, whenever that came out, it kind of fell flat. It still has a following, it still has DLC, there are new game modes that have come out that have breathed new life into the game, and I feel like we're getting ready to see an exact replica of that with Ghost Recon Wildlands set in Bolivia. However, as I go through the beta more, I am kind of getting the feeling that it isn't going to be as successful as The Division, and that's a little bit worrisome. So there you guys have it. I hope you have enjoyed my impressions of Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. If you did, drop me a like down below and let me know what you think about the beta. I was playing on the PlayStation 4. Is your experience better on the PC or the Xbox One? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you happen to be new here, I do upload new videos multiple days a week, so there's always something new on the channel when you drop by to watch some videos. But as for right now, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this particular video. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.